It's Week 17 championship week. We got some injuries to look at. James Conner, we thought he was going to be done for the year, if not done for this week. He's practicing right now. Trey Benson's practicing right now. This Arizona Cardinal backfield, something to digest, because we're going to get the news soon, and we got to see whether or not we need to be looking at these running backs going forward, or it's going to be a James Conner game, or we're going to see Trey Benson get unleashed. But we're going to deep dive that here today. But before we dig in, you need to click that subscribe button right now. We're doing deep dives all day long. We're looking at the injury reports. We're looking at the next man up. We're pontificating on what these backfields could be looking like, especially on how fantasy points can be scored. We're deep diving the waiver wire, and we're helping you set your lineups. Click that button. Stop missing out. But it looks like James Conner could be back. Trey Benson out there practicing too. Looks like we might get one of those guys back. It might be happening. But if you want an opinion of a physician, they don't think James Conner's going to play. But again, it's James Conner, and he might roll himself out there. It might happen. Unsure about Trey Benson. I'm unsure about both these guys. I'm not going to pretend I know what I'm doing here when it comes to injuries. But we're watching from afar. We're watching the news reports, and this is something to pay attention to. But looking at this backfield is something we need to do as we roll into Saturday's game. James Conner's questionable with a knee injury. Hurt that last week against the Carolina Panthers. Now we're up against the Rams this week. It's championship week, and we have to know what to do with the running backs. We're looking at Trey Benson. If he's in there, this is a guy we were wondering what he would look like with a full workload all season long. James Conner's been holding it down all season. If Trey Benson's healthy, he's a guy that a lot of people was going to throw in those lineups because there's a lot of upside here. A lot of people have been relying on James Conner. He's got 4.3 speed, drafted in the third round, and he's had some good moments on the season. Look at his yards per carry per game here. Week 9, 4.6. Week 10, 6.2. Week 12, 4.5. Week 13, 6.6. Week 14, 7.5. Week 15, 4.4. Now, limited carries in each one of those games, but still, we look at a lot of running backs here with limited carries. It's not consistent like that. It's just not. And you're going back to what he did at college. We started off at Oregon, and then we went to Florida State. That's when we really started getting a run with back-to-back 900-yard seasons. His final year in 2023, 14 touchdowns, 3.53 yards after contact per attempt. In 2022, we lit it up. 79 missed tackles forced, 4.53 yards after contact per attempt. Work in the passing game with 20 catches. So all around, a stout running back prospect. Nothing generational, but we run into 4.3s. We're 216 pounds. We got some good size, adjusted athleticism. We got speed. We got draft capital on our side. So a very interesting running back prospect that's been sitting behind James Conner all season long. And you're looking at the work rate here for this team. It's James Conner, 4.7 yards per carry. Trey Benson, 4.6, 291 yards on 63 rushing attempts. Solid two running backs right there. That's a solid duo of running backs right there. And James Conner's a monster. I would not be surprised if he rolls out. However, there's a chance that both these running backs don't play. Amari Demercado is on the IR. And we got to look at DeeJay Dallas and Michael Carter. Both these two running backs are journeyman running backs. Michael Carter at North Carolina was an interesting running back prospect who could break off runs in the open field and can really be that guy that can really get a team over the hump by catching the ball out of the backfield. DeeJay Dallas is very explosive. What we saw last week was a good split in workload between the two. And honestly, when I think about these backs, workload-wise with the Cardinals, I think I lean a little bit more towards Michael Carter. But on top of that, I think it's a pick 'em. You just pick one and you just roll with it. And that's it. I am not certain on either one of them. I would just pick one and roll with it. I'd watch the news a little bit closer. And maybe we get a good idea going into Saturday. But honestly, I think there's going to be a good split between the two running backs. If more news rolls out, both Trey Benson and James Conner's out, and they're saying, hey, Michael Carter's going to get the start, I'll bust out a whole unique video on one of these two running backs, whoever gets that news. Especially tonight, right before Saturday's game, so you get a better look at those two running backs. Both these two running backs, explosive in college, had a cup of tea around the league. Now they're with the Cardinals, waiting for their opportunity. You're looking at this matchup against the Rams. The Rams are about league average when it comes to allowing fantasy points to running backs. They don't shut down backfields. They usually just bend. They've broken like a couple times, but they usually just bend the backfields, and they do not get trampled on too often. That being said, they should bend a little bit. They should at least get you like 10 to 11 fantasy points. The leading rusher should, unless it's a big split, like it's DeeJay Dallas and Michael Carter, it might be a split where you get like an 8 and 8 or something like that. But if James Conner's out there, he should be good for 10. He should be good 10, 11, 12, coming back from that knee. If Trey Benson's out there, he should be good 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Same thing with James Conner. Honestly, with this matchup, he's very explosive. Definitely could see that. I mean, they have not shut down a backfield or a lead running back to less than 10 fantasy points on the season. Why would they now? Especially if one of the two top running backs on this depth chart is out there between Benson and Conner. So you can really feel good about that. It's not guaranteed, but you should feel good about that. If both of them are out there, both of them are banged up, and they're just splitting the work, that might be a little dicey. Again, I talk about all the scenarios, so you can go with your gut on this. It helps you with your guts. I don't really give you pinpoints, like guesses, because that's all it is guesses. But again, when you look at this matchup, it's advantageous enough for you to feel good about either one of those two running backs if they're getting the starting job. You don't need Trey Benson. You don't need any of these running backs because you don't trust them. They're banged up. You don't want DeeJay Dallas. You don't want Michael Carter. You're good at running back. You're good to go. You made it to the championship with what you got. You may not want those. However, those two running backs, the two backup running backs, DeeJay Dallas and Michael Carter, you may want to stash them so your league mate can't use them against you. You may want to do that. If you're hurting, you may want to start them. Trey Benson, I think a lot of people are going to start them. Let me know if you are or not, but I think a lot of people are going to be looking to start him in their matchups. And if James Conner's out there, I think a lot of people are going to roll with him too, because I'm already catching comments saying, I lost James Conner. I'm hurting. I don't have James Conner anymore. I don't know what to do. The waiver wire's not looking good. I got jabronis here to look at. I do not know what to do here. And maybe one of those jabroni running backs, DeeJay Dallas, Michael Carter, you have to roll with. Maybe you got to do that. Maybe one of the jabroni running backs from one of the other games. Maybe Kamani Vidal or something. Maybe you got to do something like that. Maybe you just skate by and you're just playing the matchups. You like this matchup. However, I would be on the defensive a little bit this week. You do not need to stash players to week 18 if this is your last week. So really just look at how your opponent's built, see their holes, and try to block them in some realms. Because you're not using those players. Doesn't matter if they score 0 points or 50. As long as they're not being used against you to hurt you, then it's all good and glory. Then you may want to look at that. You may want to think about that. Think outside the box. Do not allow them to get one of these backup running backs that are thrusted into starter opportunities so they don't get an accidental touchdown against you. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out. I want to thank you for watching. Catch you on the next video.